Hey everybody, I'm going live. Welcome. This is day two. Welcome, replay watchers. This is day two. Hopefully, you can hear me. Uh, Day two, as you can see in the ticker tape at the bottom. Day two of 108 days of meditation and creative flow. So I described that on day one. I've set an accountability check-in for myself daily, for 108 days. Let me make sure that all my tech is working, and that you can hear me just fine. And it seems like you can hear me just fine. So I'm going to keep going. And let's see. So today, really interesting. It's really interesting. How do I even begin with unpacking this? Technically, it's not day two. Technically, I meditate all the time. Having an accountability and making sure it's 60 minutes. I almost bailed at 50, but let's do a little intro here. And I'll tell you about it all in a hot second if you feel like hanging out and listening to what it could be for me or for you. See you in a hot second. We're, excuse me, we're back again. We're back again. I'm still on my morning because I've decided to sit in the mornings. I'm still on my morning. It's not coffee. I want to say coffee because I do love coffee. It's not coffee anymore. Oh, see, now I need to fix my hair because I imagine that's a thing. I imagine that's something. Oh, look, there's some bangs. Fringe, as they say. So I'm still wiggling my way into it in a way. It's interesting when it's more of a commitment, which is what I've set for myself. I haven't set a time yet. I'm giving myself a grace period to see what's easiest. It is morning. And what I'm thinking that I want to do it earlier than I did because this is why some grace and some wiggle room is good at the beginning of a committed practice. Because there was a lot of discomfort, and there's a part of me that's trying to find the solution from my mind. How do I fix this? How do I make this experience different? How do I make this in the direction of easier, more pleasant? My overarching goal is surrender and peace. Was that readily available today? No. Was it going against what was arising? Yeah. And so there I was in my practice. I've been sitting in silence with Insight Timer to give me a time structure of bells bonging, because I'm not ready for that. Maybe I am ready for that. I don't know. Next week I'll do that. I don't know. I don't know. A timer helps. I could have gone longer today. Usually in a sit, usually what historically for me I have experienced and other people have reported is that the first 15 to 20 minutes, you're just settling in. Dude, it took me until quarter of about 45 minutes to even begin to settle in. So that was my sit. That was my sit. Being with, was equanimity there? Was witness consciousness there? Sometimes not. And I stayed. I stayed with it. I stayed within the commitment because I want something else to happen in my life. That's my big goal, right? Something else to happen. And so all the things of mind, all the things arose. I don't need to go into details, but it's like it is the arisings of this in my this thought, this memory. Oh, I got to do this, and in some ways, that's fine. The first 15 minutes, that's fine. I'm allowing that because I really want those two aspects of my brain to really begin to communicate. It may be, I don't know, here I am talking to you about what that may be. I don't know. I don't know. I have to keep going in and experimenting and seeing what that is. I can give you a whole host of reasons. One of the ones I was going to mention was that it could be, mind you, this all happened before coffee. Yesterday's was after a coffee morning drink that has a little caffeine. I drink mud water. I'll put a link to that. Maybe I'll go into that in a little bit. So interesting, right? My mind is doing that. Going crazy and thinking of reasons and in its habits. Hey, Christopher Greer. I'm not sure that I know you, but welcome to my Facebook page. Hope it's going well. Do I know you though? So, and I'm going to ask everybody that shows up if you see this or whether you're watching on replay to note if you're a meditation practitioner. Oh, hey, Melissa. Hey. So, squirrel, let's get back there. So, what I was saying was that one of the reasons could be because one of my lesser intentions, more subtle intentions, is to begin to weave together those neurons between the right and left sides of my brain. And that left brain is like, Yavo, let's go, bring, and has a lot to share. Give it an inch. Give it an inch. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even have to finish that saying. And so that's what I was with. That's what I was with. Is it a clearing out? Maybe. Is it because of, I see, I want to find the reasons for why it's like that rather than just it's like that. So it was like that today. This is somebody who's been practicing uh, with a formal practice for about 20 years. Informal practice since my teens. No, there was something formal in my 20s, but it looks something different. There are still days because I'm a householder and because life. Hello, because life. The mental body, primarily the mental body, thoughts, images, the impulse mechanism of my, if you're into the chakra system, my third chakra. Oh, let's do this, do this. There's one point, my eyes even popped open. Was I still 80% aware of my, the pratyahara process, the see in space? Yeah. And it was that kind of spacing out. It wasn't spacing out. There was a lot of activity, eyes open. Note to self something about eyes open and activity. At a certain point of simply sitting in the internal hell realm, because there was discomfort. Was I merged with it at times and not equanimous and witness consciousness? Yeah. Did I pop out on occasion when I had the opportunity, interest, opportunity, necessity? When I had the opportunity, yeah, there were moments where I took up the practice of shamatha, of engaging with the coolness of the breath. Did I keep it down in my belly and not in the upper body? Yeah, easier. There's this subtle impulse because I'm teaching a jhana, uh, not teaching, holding space for a jhana practice a month long as we go through Lee Brassington's book in 2022. And so in the back of my mind, I do have this is just mouth dump, everybody. This is just brain dump, mouth dump about practice this morning. So in the back of my mind, I have these techniques, access concentration, perhaps. Dude, was it even? There's always a benefit to staying. There's always a benefit to staying. And that's what I had decided. I decided. And so I did. It was interesting. About 40 minutes in, there was a shift. There was an opportunity, and I took it. If I'm honest, the shift was there. The real wise choice was not available until about 45 plus minutes in, where I came back to and I found an opportunity to, for a moment, engage in a noting labeling. Labeling can be more of an effortful activity where one engages the talk space in your brain and you label what is arising in your experience within the sense gates, the see space, hear space, feel space in and out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Noting can be less about the effort of engaging that conscious language center and simply noticing. If you can stay there without jumping on a train someplace else. Waha! Gosh, I'm noticing impulses everywhere. Mm. And I won't know. I'll continue with my story here, and I won't name everything in my experience. Someday, in one of these 108 days, I will. I'll just go. I'll just note. I'll just do noting, labeling practice out loud for all y'all. It's interesting because once you get on the bandwagon, so that seemed to be a tool, a technique that gave me a different kind of experience that was more in alignment with my stated intentions for practice of surrender and peace. And so I indulged, I engaged. I believed unconsciously that that was a wise choice. Will I believe that in a couple of days as I continue practice? I don't know. Today, that's what it was. And so, what the opportunity was the opportunity to note and label, feel out experience, the feels. I was in the feels. The physical experience is intense these days. It's a lot, not sharp, pointed pain for the most part, but there's a lot of physical sensation. And so it is. Are there other choices I can make? And granted, that flash through my mind the whys. How did I get here? Why am I here? Is that helpful? Qui sait? Qui sait? Moi, pas du tout. Alors, je pense que je sais. Mais pour la plupart, je connais. Encore, 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 je connais. And so it is, Melissa, right? The heavy energy, it's chaotic. There was a point before I got to that 45-minute mark where I could ride the wave. I got on the surfboard of labeling physical flow feel out, flow, feel out, feel out. Times I got more specific, but for the most part, I simply bore witness. And with that bearing witness, what also arose was a flavor of equanimity. And so I got there after 45 minutes. I did. Before that happened, I'll go back to what I was going to note. Uh, Christopher, tell me who you are. Tell me who you are. I'm curious. I keep seeing your note there, and so, and it could. But there's my feed is interesting, and I don't get every post. So you may have said that. However long it takes, indeed. Two things I want to say. Before that happened, I did check in. It occurred to me as I'm struggling and wrangling with my moment as it's arising. I checked in with my astral body, and it was interesting. There was a little bit of she was super grounded, but also protected, that there's a lot happening apparently in the astral realms and why. And so it was that kind of beat upness. So that was interesting, the energy that's going around. And as a divine spark functioning at divine infinite spark of love and light functioning within the finite. I steal that from Joe Good. So look up Joe Good. He had it going on. The fixing. What was the other thing I wanted to note about the however long it takes for sure? Once I jumped on that surfboard, I I I could keep going. I could keep going. I went from maybe an hour and 2 minutes, something like that, according to my timer. I had this other thrust of energy, this impulse of time management come in as well. And so I was paying attention to that just a bit. So, so it is. Life goes easy on me. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Uh, I am looking for those technique surfboards when the opportunity arises. I believe that is skillful action that leads to more peace and less harm for me and others. And so that's where the peace and surrender comes from. I could have gone longer. I encourage everybody. Thank you. I encourage everybody to take up a practice. And if you need some accountability, go on one of your social medias or wherever you find it and say to yourself, I'm just going to report every day. It doesn't have to be long. What have I gone? Not even half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. We'll see. Some days there'll be more things to talk about if there are more questions or something else arises. Another thread in this was this creative expression. I talked about this yesterday, how I have so many life preservers floating around me and options for peace. For those of you that don't know, these are my effort streams, my action streams on the other side of major recombobulation, reholing after a splintering, a series of events. And so it's all good. It reminds me of there's a thought, and because I've been do I have this book here? Because I've been reading, and no, I think it's at my bedside table. If you're really interested, I'll get it. Lee Brassington's book. Yeah, it's on my bedside. Don't have it with me. Uh, concentration practice, jhana practice. Um, I think about because I'm reading a lot of that. I have some of his stories that he tells to get points across in my mind, and I may share some of those nuggets. Although the story I was going to share, I just lost it. um, Lee Brassington was major pothead in the 70s with an interest in consciousness expansion, which maybe a lot of them were, and kept making choices to dive into that. And I won't go through his whole story. You can read his book or listen to some of his interviews. How he took up the practice again and again and again because he wanted a different way. Was it an out? Maybe. Uh, So his view, because he is Buddhist based, his view and his training is specific to him and different. And he talks about, I can't remember, I'll ask my teacher what Pali texts this is from, but there are a whole bunch of handed down texts. It could be, what are the breathing texts? If there are any Buddhists here, tell me. Uh, do I have it written down someplace? Anyway, when Sid would go to lead his followers, he'd say, okay, so let's sit. What he was talking about were these concentration practices, these jhana practices. What they do is they encourage a whole host of things. In the same way, when I speak about energy work practices and Reiki practice as being a great foundational starting point because it does teach you how to be present, how to focus, how to get you really into access concentration, and how to listen, how to allow and pay attention. Those are two major skills that you will be engaging in for the rest of your life. So, the same way with concentration practices. I've taught historically in the past, just this past year, concentration practices will be a part of anything that you move into, whether it's dance, or meditation, or prayer. What I recently led was meditation for light workers, exploring the sense gates for heightened intuition. That increases your concentration power just because you're human by nature of it. The year before, I did a Brahma Vihara practice or the heart practices where we really went into these endless abodes, the uh, immeasurable capacities of the aligned heart. And we spent time for a week with each capacity. And that in itself is a concentration practice. When you simply pluck out the practice and just go to the gym, just focusing on concentration exclusively, not concentration and the heart practices, concentration arising from sense gates, honing practices. When it's simply concentration, interesting things start to happen. That's an entire practice on its own. And what I've experienced and what Lee Brassington has written an entire book about is that it not only leads you into deeper and deeper states of peacefulness, which is a flavor of equanimity, witness consciousness, strength, and sureness. It also leads you into bliss states. Jhana, I'll get that concentration, that jhana is concentration practice, but jhana means something specific, and I will in translation, and so I don't remember what that is right now. I will share that soon. That's what we're going to be doing for month next year. We're going to be doing essentially a book club and working through the jhanas. First step is just access concentration. That's just getting your mind concentrated for 15 to 30 minutes straight on one thing. 80 to 85% or more of your focus in one place for that amount of time. That creates a trampoline for other. From there, you use that access concentration to launch into the first jhana. There are endless jhanas, really. He leads you through the four basic ones in his book. I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe. I keep looking over there because it's over there. I should just get it and show you. I don't know when we're going to be doing that. I say all this because his belief is that what the Buddha was talking about, what Siddhartha Gautama was talking about when he asked his sangha, his posses, to go meditate, and then we'll explore these other lands of practice. What he meant was concentration practice. What he meant with jhana practice, it was around long before Sid was even born. The Buddha was even incarnate in that particular lifetime, in that particular body. So it was known about, it was practiced, it was a technique, a skill that creates a buoyant and strong launching pad. I think it's really not just revivifying, it's also clarifying as well. That's my personal experience. So we'll head into that next year. I call it a month long and a book club because I'm not certified to teach any of that. I haven't even done a full on week long retreat with Lee Brassington. So it's, ballsy for me to teach a month long or anything. So what we're going to do, what I do feel good about, is saying, I love this book. We're going to follow the book. We're going to follow the book and have some experiences and see what it does. Uh, it's interesting when you go into shadow work, what happens. If you don't have that foundation first, you could get sucked in, stare long enough into the abyss, and one becomes the abyss, which is not a problem if you know who you really are. And so, jhana practice will create a threshold for you to see who you really are. Mark my words, write that down. I hope I remember that because that is great copy. Anyway, what happened today? Not that. Not that. It was a lot of mind stuff. And eventually I found the raft of labeling, literally labeling, not out loud, but internal thought herein, labeling the feels as they flowed, as they were stuck. Uh, and I could have gone on because I'll tell you, there was a ripple effect of that that was calming. Calming leads to peacefulness, is peacefulness. And so at least I got 15 minutes of it. And that's what happened, guys. That's what happens. Rach, hey. Great, Melissa. All right, I'll let you know about it. So I've got all kinds of accountability all over the place. What's happening with the creative expression? Yesterday it was cookies. We'll see. I stated that it was going to be a little bit more artsy fartsy. Not that cookie baking isn't artsy fartsy totally, especially the way I do it. Uh, Working with color and movement and word. I made some interesting choices last night. And are these the reasons why my sit was this morning like it was? Maybe. Whys and hows? I don't know. I don't know. Uh, I watched a lot of TV with my mom. We had dinner after baking all afternoon. We had dinner. And if you are with, I have another Instagram account that's Sugar Sow Confections. That's where I'm posting all my baking creativity. I don't have a thing for my artwork yet. That's just going to go here as well. And then pretty soon we'll do creative expression and meditation. That's another course project experiment that I'll launch next year. I have my art space set up in the basement. It's nothing for me to turn on cool lights and to do some ecstatic dance. SoundCloud, do you know that app? SoundCloud has so much great stuff. So many like right on DJs post their hour-long ecstatic dance music's there. And so I don't have an excuse not to do for an hour ecstatic dance at night instead of. It's not that I can't watch some, right? You know, my mom falls asleep. It's just I get hooked in. And I wonder if that's what's causing this physical ick in my body. I get hooked in, get sucked in to cooking shows and baking shows because I want to know what are they doing next? What are they doing next? What does that look like? And kind of have like this fangirl crush on one of the new bakers in Great British Baking, season 12. I think we're on season 12 or 13, 12. Oh my God, he's so dreamy. Anyway, so here's the thing though, and maybe it's taken me about an hour, 45 minutes to get here again. This is the thing. Seeking externally for what is an endless source internally is folly. I think I'm getting something, and I am temporary. It's not the good stuff, right? That's the dopa. Those are the dopamine fixes. What I want is that serotonin flush, the internal fountain of youth, the internal fountain of bliss. I know it's there. And yet, I think connecting with TV or this meditation or this or that is it's gonna get me there. It's all in here. It's all in here. So if you've hung out this long, there's the nugget. Making choices last night. When I want to space out, better choices can be made. I could have gone to my art studio and I could have just, with crayons even, used color for an hour. I did take a bath, but I still felt I did with great oils and rose, and I had Kyle Cease on in the background where they were doing a Kylego exercise. I'm all about the Kylego. Talk about that sometime. And if anybody wants to do Kylego with me, let me know. So I just got hair in my chai. Look at the cute mug I got. All right. Not cute. Am I? I don't know. Maybe. I play one on TV anyway. All right. I'm going to go. Hope that was all clear as mud, as I like to say. Trying to be as authentic as possible, and it is what it is. Oh, thanks, Rach. Continuing to come to the endless wellspring of peace within. See how it goes, kids. Let's see how it goes. All right. Anything else to report? I think I'm good for now. 45 minutes. Holy guacamole chips. Oh, yeah, me too, Rachel. Thanks. I hope you all have a beautiful day. I don't put them all over my car, I put them all over my water bottles. That chair. Got that at a memorial for a friend of mine who died, passed away, out of body. Stefan, blessings, my love. All right, let's scramorama, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. I don't know what time I'll show up. Foghorn. You probably can't hear it. I'm yeah, 3 blocks from the beach. So Foghorn. You probably can't hear it through this. I'm gonna go, and I'll be back here tomorrow before noon East Coast. I don't know what time that's gonna be. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna do a little music as my outro because I can. Let me know how your practice is going. What is it? Here I am. I'm just sharing as an accountability task what it is. Like, this is what happens. What happens for you? What's yours? How much are you surrendered? How much are you controlled? Love you too. Love you guys. Rage, one of my near and dear, everybody who showed. All right, I'll catch you on the flip.